I'm working on replacing the electrolytic caps now. I've removed these two cans. This one is part of the voltage doubler. Looks like the clamp may have crushed it down quite a bit, but we'll see what condition it's in once I take the cardboard off. Just a single section there. Should be a piece of cake to replace. Now this guy, I had noticed it was crusty earlier, but now that I've got it out, I can see it's actually a lot worse than that. That's bulging quite badly. So hopefully it doesn't damage anything else in the set. It's a transformerless set, so there's no transformer to burn out. And the original fusible resistor was in there and didn't burn out. So I don't know. Maybe this was just short of exploding or shorting when somebody retired the set. But I'm not sure what I want to do with it. Because, well, I'll see what condition it's in, but this is a piece of material. When I take it out, it may be really fragile and kind of fall apart. So I may just end up scavenging a 4-section cap from another set to put in here. I was able to salvage the exact Philco capacitor from another tandem chassis, and I rebuilt it and reinstalled it, and I got this one rebuilt and reinstalled. Now the last one is this guy, which is kind of a pain to get out. So I'm also getting a little anxious. I want to try powering this set up. So I am going to test this one before I replace it. Now this one was obviously trashed, and the bottom was bulging out, it had oozed, it had dried out, completely shot. This one I wouldn't mess with because it's the one directly on the AC as part of the voltage doubler. That guy. But this one, not so critical. So if it tests okay, I am going to wire these couple connections up and give this a shot. Likewise, I'm going to keep the thermistor in place and the filament dropper. I cut out the jumper that had been put in here because I will be trying it with this guy, which is an original low voltage CRT. Now, these are very prone to failure. It's all green and crusty, so I will eventually replace it. And these thermistors have a tendency to fall apart because they get pretty toasty, and eventually these connections just fall off. So I figure I'll replace that eventually too, but I'm curious to see how they hold up. I'm testing that capacitor with my vintage solar capacitor analyzer, and I do get a nice sharp eye deflection around here, which is close enough to 10 on the scale. And as far as leakage goes, it's rated for 450 volts, so I should be able to max this out, and yeah, no leakage. And when I go back down to 0, the other side glows as it discharges, so that's okay. Now, the other section should be 20 microfarad at 300 volts, so I can't go all the way up. Now, these are not exactly voltages. It's not 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. It's more like 75, 150. So I should be able to go up to about here. And, yep. Hold the charge. And nice sharp eye. Oh, close enough to 20. Now, the last section I actually can't test with this device because it's only a 25 volt cap, and even the lowest setting on here is too much voltage. So, nice to have these for testing paper and mica and electrolytics on vintage sets in general, but now then you do actually encounter a low voltage electrolytic, and this can't test it properly. So I do have an ESR meter, but those are more for, it uses the 100 kilohertz test signal and measures the equivalent series resistance. Not exactly the same thing as testing for leakage or capacitance, but you could try it. Or this can just measure capacitance. But I'm going to trust that because the other two sections test to get to that section is probably okay, and I will replace it eventually anyways, but for now I'm just going to tack all those wires back in place and try firing this up. Alright, so I got that cap wired back in. Now I need to repopulate most of the tubes. I never took out the IF tubes, but all the rest need to be repopulated, and yes, I will put the right tubes into the tuner. I've populated all the tube sockets, however, most of these have not been tested. So I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that at least the filaments are good. I'm going to find that out right now. So what I've got going is an ohm meter attached to the AC cord, and when I turn the set on, should get a resistance reading of the tube filaments. It's pretty high, 220 kiloohms. That doesn't seem right. Something is up somewhere. If it was 200 ohms, that would be okay, but not in the kiloohm range. Just wiggling all the tubes one by one. Jumped up. Let's just take a tube out. That's curious. So if I take a tube out, we're just off the chart, infinity. When I put one in, it seems like it should drop right down. Alright. Yeah, it's definitely kiloohms, not ohms. Oh, now it's off the chart again. Hope I don't have any bad sockets. Well, I will just start tracing things out from the AC line and go through and try to figure out where the problem lies. Here's how they show it on the schematic. So, somewhere in here, something is not making contact. There's one thing I haven't tried is wiggling the big socket on the back for the CRT. Remember, that's got both an AC interlock and a connection for the tubes. There we go. 800 ohms. So the socket in the back wasn't fully seated. Alright. It's more like it. Alright, so next thing I want to do is hook up an AC cord and power it up without the fusible resistor in place. So no B+, just tube filaments lighting up. Okay, here we go. Got current being drawn, so yep, got the pilot light lit up. Now this is what what I believe is the original thermistor, and that's taken a lot longer for the tube filaments to light up than it did with the replacement one I used, so I find that kind of interesting. The replacement one is 220 cold and just a couple 3-4 ohms when it's hot. The original is over 400 ohms cold and around 11 ohms when it's hot. Alright, we're drawing 0.6 amps. Well, that's exactly what it should be. It's a 600 milliamp string set, so hey, we're dead on. Actually, it's just slightly over. And actually, my AC line is a little low. I'm only at about 113, so let's go to 117. And actually, I was wrong. I'll show you what I'm looking at. So here's my PR57. So output voltage, I was a little low before, but I tweaked it up, so now I'm right on that red line, which is 117. And for current, I was thinking each tick was a tenth, so 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, but no, that's 0.75 over here, so it's each one of those ticks. Well, anyways, whatever that works out to, 0.6 is right about in here. So let's think it's just a little bit above where that needle is. So I think we're just fine with the current flow. So next comes the fusible resistor, and I'll hook up the meter to monitor the B+ supply. I really need to do that same test with my other set. I'll make sure I don't have excessive current flowing through it. Alright, fusible resistor in place. Meter on B+. Here we go. Very good sign. 300 volts. Should be 270 when the set's warmed up. Hear noise out of the speaker. And we have raster. I can't see that. Oh, I know you can't see that, so here, take the camera off the tripod. There we go. Raster. Now, how about some sound and video? Got it on channel 6. I thought I might pick up something even though there's no antenna hooked up. Been in the same situation just a couple weeks ago. Don't want to go through this again. At least there's some reaction when I change channels, so there is hope. Oh, and there is something. Stick my finger on the antenna input. Ooh. That doesn't sound good. Huh. When I put my finger on the antenna, I was starting to pick up a signal, and that's when this started making crazy noises, so might be an issue with the horizontal oscillator. So I'm going to hook up a better signal source and then try that again. Here goes another power-up test, this time with a signal source. Here's the current draw with B+. You can see it's considerably more. Probably top out it over an amp. Alright, so we've got our raster back. And there's a signal coming in. Try adjusting the hold controls. It's vertical. And to the horizontals, definitely. Yeah, horizontal's out of whack. Vertical's alright. Around there, but yeah. Alright, that's the weak over the air signal. Let's try a stronger signal. I've got sound. Trusting the fine tuning too, that might help. Well, good sound. But no horizontal. I believe that is what that slug is for. So, we'll give that a tweak.
Are you Paladin? That's right. Bourdain said you'd come. I didn't believe it. It's $10 for the night in advance. I'll take that on. Like it was your own. Only if you die, mister. Otherwise, you keep it.
That's a wrong diameter. So a little bit bigger.
Upstairs. They're all empty except one. Who else is here? Just the drummer. John failed him. Came in this morning.
It's tough to turn. And right next to the plate lead wire on that horizontal amplitude, which I'm trying my best not to touch.
Would you like her to bring you up some hot water?
Going the wrong way. That is frustrating. I've put the core basically through its paces. And, still want to lock in. Well, I'm going to keep tweaking that and then start checking the circuitry to make sure that everything is correct. Seems like something's not quite right. Hopefully it's not one of the networks I rebuilt. Okay, I think I'm getting closer. Well, one thing I noticed is flipping the local distance switch to the other position helps. 2, tweaking the contrast helps. And 3, working this core some more.
The most comfortable town on television.
We'll be ready, boss.
Juicy, juicy, juicy. Howdy do to you and you.
I got my bullet.
Here's a look at the horizontal circuitry. Here's a horizontal multi-vibrator, also known as an oscillator. And they have an AFC control, dual diode, and then this horizontal output. So I've been tweaking the horizontal frequency, that's the coil, and horizontal hold. But what I forgot is that there's also a horizontal range. All of these controls on the side have a secondary control that can only be accessed by popping the knob off and inserting a screwdriver. That one's on there pretty tight. There we go, so you can get a flat-bladed screwdriver down inside there to tweak that. I also swapped out these 2 tubes from my other chassis that's running alright. So, oscillator tube I already swapped out before, and now I've swapped out the AFC tube as well. So, let's give this another try. It's so close, it can't be some critical mistake, like I've got this thing wired in wrong or something. It could be components, not the right value, or something wrong inside one of these networks, but it can't be some gross error, I'm sure.
I saw you work in the hall, remember?
Just in the hold control now.
I've been that.
Alright, now I'm going to go for that course
The worst
adjustment.
day of my life, I could take you. Like you took Pat Turney. He was a gunfighter, was They say he made you crawl in the mud. That when you became Fred Horn, that's when you became a back shooter? All right, you put that gun
Nuts.
on. I suppose you had to try again sometime.
I put the course at one extreme, and then the fine
Go on, Fred Horn.
tuning. There we go.
Sheriff Osler and the judge
kinda
O'Reilly,
touchy.
They were decent men.
So I might
Go on,
be
gunfighter. Bring it
having
on.
a weak signal coming through the IF, and could have some other weak tubes in here. I haven't checked yet.
I'm not credible.
In contrast, it's not having as much effect as I would expect. So
It doesn't take much to be a back shooter.
I think we may very well have a weak signal coming through. Also, the sound is good, but I've got it cranked up all the way. It doesn't seem like it's as loud as it should be.
I did have to know.
Just flip the local distance.
Fred Horn wouldn't have tried.
So this is definitely the stronger position. And the hold's drifting. And I can't even get it to lock in the hold anymore.
And then there was one. The gun's in the shed, Paladin. Don't wear any gun.
Just fine tuning now. The other set definitely had a sharper picture than this. It's not exactly a real sharp picture by any means. But the set is alive. Something else worth noting is that the B plus is only 255. At the point where I've got my meter, should be 280. So, and I actually noticed that with the other set too, that B plus was low. I'm not entirely sure what might be causing that in both sets. Possibly the fusible resistor. A little bit toasty, but not as hot as I thought it might be. Or something's drawing excessive current in the setup, which of course would drag it down, but I mean there's not much to it. You got the AC coming in, you got the fusible resistor, you're gonna have a voltage doubler. So the only thing that would cause that 280 to droop down is something in here. I got brand new caps. Haven't swapped out the diodes though. Or that resistor is higher resistance than it should be, or something's drawing too much current. But both sets showed a little bit low on B+. This makes me a little bit curious. Now, it could also be something inside there. There is a board in there. There are some components. There's a tube. There's some capacitors and resistors. It's all original. Has not been replaced. There could be a very leaky cap in there pulling the B+ down. Don't know. I do happen to have, though, another tandem CRT base cable everything that actually has a good replacement CRT in it. So I could drag that out and hook it up. Kind of a pain to get at it right now. I'd have to get all this out of the way, but it's definitely something I will try at some point. But before I do that, I want to test all these tubes. I swapped out the video amp and video IF tubes, and it did improve things a bit. Sync is more stable now, but I do have the course control at 1 extreme, which I don't like, and it's a bit touchier than I think the control should be. So I still want to do more work there. I'm adjusting it right now, left and right. But I can get it to lock in. It's stable. I also adjusted the vertical height and linearity, so picture's pretty well squared away. Nicely centered, and linearity is pretty good. It just looks kind of lousy. Partly from the weak picture tube, no doubt. But I still don't think it's quite working right, though, in terms of contrast in the gain. So I'll keep poking around and do some more checks of voltages and so on. But hey, much better first power up than the first tandem I worked on, that's for sure.
We've had a talk about you, Sam. No one asked you to butt into this.
I did. It's the boy. I guess you noticed he's no fool. He'll find out who you are this time.
No, he won't, I promise you.
Oh, I know. You'll kill every man in this town who talks, won't you? Well, that won't stop them. If you think any different...